We are going to be looking at what it is like to grow up having this online world that we're in just now, how young people use the internet to explore relationships and sex, and including sharing sexual images. We will have a look at risk in terms of sexual abuse online, have a look at some advice for parents and carers with regards to live streaming. We'll direct you to some other resources that you can find online to give you some more information and advice. And then there'll be some time at the end, hopefully, for questions.
Hi everyone. So what is Think You Know? And you'll be able to see the Think You Know logos on your screen at the moment. Think You Know is the national education programme created by the CEOP education team at the National Crime Agency. Now, the National Crime Agency is committed to protecting the public from serious and organised crime, and CEOP's role is to tackle the sexual abuse and exploitation of children both online and offline. This whole education programme looks to empower and protect children and young people from sexual abuse and exploitation. And it has fantastic resources available to both professionals like myself and Mrs. Campbell in school, and also to parents and carers at home. Think You Know provides professionals with resources to teach children and young people aged 4 to 18 about the important online safety and relationships education topics that help keep children safe from sexual abuse online. The Think You Know programme includes films, animations, websites, presentations, and lesson plans that we use here in DGS, and is something that we incorporate to all our years in PSE. In addition to providing professionals like myself and Mrs. Campbell, it also provides information and advice for parents and carers to help build their confidence and also importantly their knowledge in protecting their children online. Think You Know also offers expert advice to parents and carers supporting children who are victims of sexual abuse or exploitation. You'll see lots of parts of this presentation as part of the Think You Know programme.
Parents and carers have told us that they can feel quite overwhelmed by the internet. And the emergence of new apps and games every day can make the internet feel vast and ever changing. But the reality is that there are actually only a limited number of functions that sites, apps, and games can have. We recommend using a simple technique of breaking down an app into its key functions of viewing, sharing, chatting, and friending, and just asking some simple questions in order to gain a better understanding of how the app or game works. This will help you to focus on safety messages to give your child based on what they are using. We're just going to have a look at each of these in a bit more detail.
We think it's important to remind everyone that the internet provides lots of opportunities for young people to learn and gain information. So it is a really positive place for young people to go. However, it's also public and it's also open, which means that anybody can post and share content, and that's important to remember. Unfortunately, it can be easy for children to come across inappropriate, sexual, or violent content online. But what you'll find is that most apps and games, not all of them, but most include privacy and security settings that allow you to control what content can be seen and what also can be shared. In addition to this, tools such as parental controls and filters can help to manage a child's online activities and what they're exposed to. Remember that these are never totally guaranteed. And as young people get older, they may not want filters and parental controls to be used. Therefore, what is vital is open and ongoing conversations with them about what they see online and making sure that they can talk to an adult if they see anything online that upsets them. What you really need to ask yourself is that what content can they see? Is it age appropriate? And what filtering and privacy settings can be utilised?
A key part of our education with children is talking to them about what they share online. Sharing pictures and videos can be fun and creative, and it helps them to express themselves. But it's easy to share things online that we wouldn't face to face, and it's important to talk to children about safe sharing. With older children, it's also important that we explore the motivations to share online. An image or a video should never be shared if they feel pressured or uncomfortable or blackmailed. We also want to encourage our young people, and we try to encourage our young people within DGS to look out for others by not sharing any inappropriate content. So ask, what are they sharing and who are they sharing it with?
Chatting and meeting new people on the internet can be fun and very appealing to our young people. There are lots of online apps and communities that can be educational and supportive for them. However, this also opens up the opportunities for adults to contact them online. No matter how old your child is, having a device connected to the internet, it's important to talk to them about people who can contact them online. Some people online generally just want to chat and want to be friends, but others may put pressure on children or manipulate them into doing something that they don't want to do. And it's important to speak to your child openly and honestly about this. Young people should always be advised to share not too much content online and also too much personal information, and they should never feel pressured to do something online that they don't want to do. Some children may find it difficult to tell you if something is worrying them online. They may be embarrassed or think that they won't understand because you don't get online lives, or they might get into trouble. Other times they might have initiated the contact, so they feel responsible, or they have been told they are responsible for what's happened. Therefore, it is vital that they know that who they can talk to, and it's someone like yourself and or another trusted adult if anything bothers or worries them. So just to recap, there's key stages into thinking about what goes on online. If your child is using an app, site, or game and you want to know more about it, you can explore together and ask these key questions. What content can they see? What can they share and who can they share it with? Who can they chat with? How and where? And who can they be friends with? If you need some help with starting a conversation, here are 3 ways you can approach it. You can start by saying, I've heard that some young people do, and insert whatever you want to be speaking about. What do you think about that? And giving them the opportunity to give their opinion. Has anything ever happened to you, a friend online, that worries you? And also, alternatively, you can speak and say, what things do you do to keep yourself online? It's all about generating a conversation with your young people. There are no apps, sites, or games that are more or less dangerous or risky. People who want to harm children will use any sites or services which children use, and it's really important to understand that. Children should know to be wary of people they're friends with and talk to online, especially if they're asking to talk privately with them, and they should always be advised to not share personal information online or any photos or videos that make them feel uncomfortable. Most importantly, it is vital that they know who they can speak to, so be that person that they can speak to.
We're now going to move on to talk a little bit about sex and relationships and how young people use the internet to learn about this. Just there is a few videos that, unfortunately, because we're streaming online, we're unable to show them during this presentation because you wouldn't be able to hear the sound in them. But what I will do is email the links to these videos afterwards. We think they're really helpful in terms of understanding a bit more about what we're talking about tonight. And I will email them out tomorrow, the links to these videos. This one is called Romeo and Juliet, and it's a video made by CEOP for parents and carers, and it shows what Shakespeare's story of Romeo and Juliet would look like today with the influence of technology and relationships. And the point is to show that actually young people haven't changed. Young people are still doing the same things that adults did when they were young, but in new ways. And social media has changed the way that young people communicate about their curiosity, but their curiosity about friendships and relationships remains the same. And having a supportive parent or carer can make all the difference.
It's important when discussing online to focus on the positives. So exploring friendships online can create opportunities for young people to gain support. As parents, it is important to focus on this positive. However, it's only natural for young people to start exploring their sexual feelings online. This is part of their development, and young people will use the internet to explore their friendships and also their relationships. Talking to new people online can feel exciting to a young person, but they could also be contacted by people who pose a risk to them. What's important is to talk to young people and ensure that they are aware of how to keep themselves safe online. Remember, risk taking is part of growing up. They might even be more likely to take risks online, as being online might give them the confidence to do it and say things that they might think twice about in real life. It is important to understand this and to talk to your child in a positive way, helping them to learn, explore, and develop identity online in a safe way.
These two quotes are from some CEOP research, which was called Digital Romance. Talking about relationships and the internet with your children can feel daunting, but it is important to remain balanced and communicate that you understand. Technology has become such an integral part of young people's love lives, and young people have said they want adults to understand the positive role it can play in love and relationships. Young people have said they're less likely to go to their parents for advice if they feel their parents only portray a negative and risky role of the internet and relationships. Think You Know is the website that we use within DGS to get advice around internet safety, and it's got lots of advice and resources to help parents and carers to have these conversations, and I will share the link to that website with you along with the other links to the videos.
What you're seeing on your screen right now is a little bit of context and also motivation for young people to share naked or semi-naked photos of themselves online. Nude image sharing is a term used to describe naked or semi-naked pictures or videos taken on electronic devices and shared online. Young people often refer to nude pictures as either nudes or simply pics. Young people may share naked or semi-naked pictures of themselves for a variety of reasons. This can be a positive experience if done safely and consensually in a relationship, but of course, it can also expose them to massive risks. These motivations demonstrate a range of situations and contexts in which a nude photo may be taken. Some situations are more risky than others and show how important it is to understand the context behind an image.
Talking to your child about relationships, sex, and nude images is the best thing that you can do to help keep them safe. Avoid appearing judgmental or saying "don't do it" without trying to open up a conversation about it first. They're less likely to open up or come to you for help if they need it, if they think you're judging them. Consider starting off with an example from a TV programme or an article about a celebrity who shared a nude image, or ask them if it's something that young people do. Distancing this conversation can give them the opportunity to share their opinions without sharing personal details first. Explain that even when nude images are shared with trusted friends and partners, there's a chance that people could end up seeing them. Discuss what a healthy relationship looks like, including the importance of trust and consent. Remind them that no one should be pressured into sharing a nude image if they don't want to. If someone says no to sending one, this decision should be respected. It's also not okay to share nude images without someone's consent, and it's okay to tell someone about it. Young people often think that once they've sent an image, they're powerless to prevent anything bad from happening. If your child is worried about an image they've shared, there are things you can both do about the situation, and that includes reporting it to CEOP.
As Mrs. Campbell was saying earlier on in the presentation, we have a number of videos that will help to encourage a discussion with your young people. This is Who is Sam? And before the video, it's important to set the context, something along the lines of, I'm going to show you a short animation which is narrated by a fictional character called Sam. Sam is an online offender who targets children online and quickly builds trust with them. What's the important message behind the video is that it's to try to show young people that there's not just one type of person who will target them online. All children can be vulnerable, and it is very important that we do not approach this from a perspective of it won't happen to someone we know or it won't happen to you. What is important is that you, as parents and carers, talk openly to your children about being safe online, about healthy relationships, and encourage them to speak out if anything happens online that worries them or doesn't feel right. There are opportunities for adults to contact children and young people online in order to harm them. They can use any part of the internet, including games, social media, and live streaming platforms. They may send out multiple friend requests or messages at random, target young people who they identify as particularly vulnerable, for example, by things that they post online, and or they may attempt to build a relationship via a game. Adults can create multiple online identities and even pretend to be children and young people themselves to gain the trust of our young people. Others may be open and honest about who they are, and adults can also exploit young people's natural curiosity by talking about sex and introducing them to harmful things. They may start with seemingly innocent comments and build up to more sexual conversations and sending images and videos. It's important to remember that adults can exploit young people's natural curiosity, and by doing that, they can pressure and intimidate and coerce children into doing things that they're not ready for. Increasingly, children and young people are tricked into sexual activity or live video. So it's important to talk to your child and ask them what they would do if someone made an inappropriate request online, and give them advice and give them skills to respond, and make sure that they know that they can come and speak to yourself. Make sure that they know who they can report to. And if your child has shared a picture or video because they were threatened, pressured, or forced to, or you believe your child is being groomed or is at risk of sexual abuse, you should report to CEOP. CEOP can help protect your child, and it's never too late to get help.
Something that can really help, and the best way to protect your child is something quite simple, is just to chat to them about their life online, establishing a positive relationship, and talking to them, not just about having ongoing, not just once, but as part of ongoing family conversations, as part of your family life. Ask them what they're doing online and what they like and dislike about the apps and services they use. Take the opportunity to talk to them about how to stay safe on these services and in general. For example, you could ask about the types of issues that have arisen for their friends online and what advice they would offer to help them feel safe. Talking about others can help you avoid directly questioning what they do online and possible embarrassment. Explain to them any worries that you might have. Your child might think that you're getting worried for no good reason, but if you can explain why something is troubling you, they will understand why you want to talk to them. Tell them if it's something you've read about or seen their friends doing.
What you'll see on the screen now is ThinkUknow resources. And what's really important to remember that you can explore these resources together with your children. ThinkUknow has a range of films and activities, and it's a great way of starting and continue a conversation and continuous chats about safety online. We also have a number of links for our children and parents and carers, which will be provided to you at the end of this presentation. It's something that we use regularly in our PSC lessons. And what you'll find is that there are actually 2 teen ThinkUknow websites. There's one for 11 to 13-year-olds and one for 14 plus. The websites help young people develop healthy approaches to friendships, relationships, and also the internet. It teaches them to identify negative or unhealthy behavior, respond with resilience, and know where you're going to go for help if they ever feel anxious or threatened online or in a relationship. They cover topics such as consent, healthy and unhealthy relationships, pressurizing and threatening behaviors online, and how to report abuse to NCA and CEOP. We encourage our parents to look and take a look at these websites following the session and use them to start a conversation with the young people. As I was saying earlier in the presentation, it has a lot of resources for parents and carers. It gives you vital information about what parents and carers need to know in terms of Nude Selfies, which is a series of 3 animated films for parents and carers. The films offer advice on how to keep children safe from risk associated with sharing of nude and nearly nude images. The film covers young people's motivations for sending nude images, responding constructively to an incident in which a child has shared a nude image, and identifying risky behaviours or situations. We encourage parents to watch these on YouTube following the session, and we'll also be making them available. The ThinkUknow Parents and Carers website contains a wealth of information and advice for parents and carers on keeping their children safe. And it also covers topics such as having conversation with your child, using parental controls, understanding live streaming and supporting children who have been sexually abused, and it's divided into 3 sections. I need to report an incident, which gives information support when something has already happened for a child or young person. I am concerned about my child, which has information support when there are concerns about a child or young person. And finally, it has, I'd like to understand more about keeping my child safe online, for preventative information and advice on keeping children safe online.
Just to explain, sorry, I was having a little moment there with my, I'm about to have some problem with my connection here. Just give me 1 second. Here we go. This is what happens. And we're back. Sorry about that. Just to explain a little bit about what CEOP is, it's the Child Exploitation and Online Protection Command of the National Crime Agency, and it is committed to tackling the sexual exploitation and abuse of children, both online and offline. They also work CEOP. Within CEOP, there's law enforcement officers, social workers, education officers, and child psychologists. Think You Know is the education programme from CEOP, and in addition to providing us with the information they need, they've also got lots of information for parents and carers. One of the things that's highly appealing to young people is live streaming, and the popularity of live streaming platforms is continuing to rise. In response to this, CEOP have created a vast range of resources on their Think You Know website and the possible risks associated with this. So live streaming is a visual broadcast live over the internet, a bit like this. All you need to be able to have a live stream is an internet-enabled device like a smartphone or tablet, and a platform to broadcast on, for example, within the app. You can broadcast anything you're doing across the world without delay, and with the popularity of these live streaming platforms continuing to rise, other more conventional social media platforms have also branched out and offered live streaming options as part of them. They have a different lifespan depending on what platform is being used. If, for example, live streamed content stays on Periscope for 24 hours, but on YouTube Live, it remains indefinitely until the creator removes it from this platform. This doesn't delete any saved recordings of this live stream. My PowerPoint is now not working. Excuse me. Maybe we should just take this moment while we're having some technical difficulties to see if anyone has any questions so far. If you do, please use the little chat function just to pop in any questions just while we're waiting on this to get going. Here we go. So we'll just pause for a moment. If anyone does have any questions, please type them in and we'll respond to them throughout the presentation.
Okay, what you're seeing on your screen at the moment is what we typically would see in a live stream. On the left-hand side, you'll see that basically young people at a touch of a button can access a potentially huge audience. All they really need is an internet and also a platform to deliver this. Many of the most popular apps like Instagram and Snapchat actually have a live feature now, where your devices, cameras, streams to your followers and others that have searched for anyone live in a particular area or that matches a certain description. What you'll see above is the arrow to the hashtags. This allows young people to access these and get directed towards live stream for a particular content. You also usually typically see on the right-hand side a number of live comments, kind of like this function here via Google Meet, where viewers can comment and interact live by posting messages beside the stream. Often viewers will compliment, but this is also sometimes unfiltered. And it's really important to recognise when there might be dangerous chat involved with that. Finally, there's usually emojis and GIFs. Emojis such as hearts and coins can be gifted by the audience, and these will appear on screen. Sometimes these gifts can be exchanged for real money, but not always.
Live streaming is highly appealing to young people because it offers them the opportunity to be a creator, a presenter, and to be potentially seen by a huge audience, which potentially could be thousands of people. We know that self-expression is really important for young people, so sharing something and having hundreds and thousands of people show an interest can feel like the ultimate confidence and ego boost. The immediacy of live streaming combined with the pleasure of affirmation satisfies some of the developmental needs and desires that children and young people experience during adolescence. The statistics on the slide show how popular live streaming apps are. This is just a snapshot of how many times these apps have been downloaded onto a phone or device from one app store, Google Play. All of the apps referenced have an age limit of 13 years and above. It's worth noting that many apps do not have an age verification function, and the age limit is not based on a risk assessment of the app in relation to its use by children, but instead to comply with laws regarding the collection and storing of children's data. The best way to assess if an app is suitable for your child is to research the app and discuss it with them, as well as with other parents, to see if it's appropriate for your child to be using, whatever their age. And again, there are some useful guides on Think You Know that I will share the link with you following this.
It's important that parents and carers understand the risk factors involved with live streaming. A key risk is the developmental stage in sexual exploration. During secondary school age, our young people are still developing and still getting a period where it's linked to increased risk taking. It also is time when young people become natural for them to explore and take risks and also explore their sexual feelings. And talking to people online can feel quite exciting, and that's why a number of young people do that. Unfortunately, adults that talk to our young people online can exploit their natural curiosity and risk-taking by talking about sex and introducing them to things that might be inappropriate and they're not ready for. Young people also have a reduced inhibition online. Young people can feel more confident to do things online that they're not necessarily do in real life. They may, for example, feel more confident to explore sex and relationships online than in the real world. And young people can also feel invisible online and may do or say things that they wouldn't do in real life. The concept of live streaming as well for secondary school children may not categorize it as the same way as they would an actual video or photo. Live streams may not be seen as a tangible thing that someone could record and pass on. This could lead to false sense of security where young people may be manipulated into doing something on live streaming they would not do if they were a photo and it is recorded. Live streaming is in the moment, and there could be a tendency for young people to do things in the heat of the moment and act on impulse without thinking of the consequences. Tactics such as flattering affirmation, lots of positive comments and compliments can make young people feel good. Live streaming platforms allow users to gift emojis such as love hearts and coins, and young people can be manipulated into doing things for flattery and the promise of gifts. It's also very powerful if they get multiple comments. There may be multiple offenders watching a young person on a single stream, and this sense of a group approval can make it much easier for them to manipulate the young person into doing something. And finally, there's fear. People can use threats when they are online to try and force young people to do things that they would not want to do, which can sometimes make them feel that they have no choice but what they've to do being told.
So there are lots of practical things that you can do to keep your child safe if they are using an app or website with a live streaming function. One of the things is just talk to your child about what they're doing online, what they're enjoying, what they are learning, and the new things they've discovered. Parental engagement in the positive aspect of being online and not just the risky things will help your child to talk more openly about their internet use, including anything that worries them. Having these discussions little and often is more effective than having one big chat. Talk to young people about being asked to move to private platforms to chat. Here, offenders are able to have private conversations that are likely to be less moderated. Remind young people to be wary of people they meet online who want to chat to them privately. Loneliness can be an issue for young people, and offenders can exploit this. Ensure your child is getting the support they need offline. This could include conversations and activities that help build your child's self-esteem and activities that are not based on validation from online fans or views. If they're looking for support on the internet, speak to them about trusted sources, for example, the Think You Know website. It's important that we identify trusted adults to help them versus the ones that are looking for something in return. Reinforce the idea that on the internet, adults should be offering advice and supporting young people to make their own choices, usually via professional and well-known organisations, and not be giving them instructions or telling them what to do. Young people can sometimes feel they're to blame if something goes wrong online. Remind your child that they will never be blamed and can always speak to an adult they trust if they are worried, no matter what might have happened. And there are lots of people within school that they can speak to. Obviously, the main person would be their guidance teacher or their year head.
What's really important about anything online, including live streaming, is that starting a conversation with young people shouldn't be scary or intimidating. We've given you some ideas for you to help start a conversation. For example, you could use an age-appropriate topical news story or TV storyline to ask your child what they would do in the situation. This doesn't have to be a specific focus on sexual abuse. For example, on the Think You Know website for 14+ years, it has a news article called 20-Year-Old Crashed Car Whilst on Facebook Live, which uses the focus of a 20-year-old who crashed his car at high speed while live streaming to highlight the wider risks of live streaming. You could also ask your child if they think there's any differences between a photo being shared online and a live stream. For example, do they think that both a photo and a live stream can be saved and be kept indefinitely? You can use this conversation to reinforce the message that although live streaming seems in the moment, that on many apps, a live stream video disappears after a set amount of time, but anyone watching could be recording and save it. Therefore, the same care and safety considerations apply to both live streaming and photos. Finally, you could ask your child for their opinions on likes and also views on social media and what it means to them or their friends. For example, how do likes and views make them feel? Do they think of all likes that they get are genuine? You can use this to kickstart a conversation on thinking critically about why someone they don't know might be liking their online activity. You can use the Think You Know website to support these conversations.
Just to quickly also just direct you towards some other useful resources on the Think You Know website. There are lots of information available on streaming, on what live streaming is, on online contact and staying safe, and responding to the risks. And CEOP are continually adding more information on live streaming to the Think You Know website and other topics relating to your child's online safety.
Both Think You Know websites for 11 to 13-year-olds and 14+ host that information. You can see on the screen there's articles that cover live streaming and there's considerations for secondary school age children to help them keep themselves safer if they are thinking of live streaming. There's also articles dealing with camsex. This article is on the Think You Know 14+ website. This article highlights the lies that offenders tell children and young people on webcam or when they are live streaming in order to get them to do what they want, as well as providing this age group with the way in which they can be safer online if they're using a webcam. Finally, there's also a link to dealing with pressure. This article deals and helps with young people identify and respond safely to pressure online.
We just wanted to also include in our presentation a little bit about online bullying, as it's something that we know that parents and carers are concerned about. What we're going to show you is a little bit of what we cover in PSE with our young people. And the Respect Me training is the Scottish Government approach to anti-bullying.
What's really important to tell our young people during PSE is that this list that you see on your screen right now is not exhaustive. It's really getting our young people to identify what bullying is and what we mean by when someone is being bullied or displaying bullying behaviour. What we talk about is that it impacts somebody's capacity to feel that they control themselves. They might feel intimidated, they might feel frightened, anxious. It might impact on depression, their mental health. They may feel demeaned. It's important to realise the impact of the behaviour. Bullying makes people feel hurt, frightened, and also what's key is that left out can also be displayed as bullying behaviour, whether that be online or whether that be in person. This behaviour may not be repeated, but the threat can be sustained, and an incident of bullying should be continue to be as serious as something that is ongoing. And that's what we try to give our young people during PSE.
We talk about a range of bullying behaviour and some examples of what this can be. And obviously the ones in red that are highlighted in red could take place online. It's important to note that bullying is not a normal part of growing up. What is a normal part of growing up are disagreements and fallouts with friends, but we have to make really sure that we distinguish between the two.
What we really make clear to our young people is what we mean by intent. It's quite difficult at times for our young people to understand when bullying behaviour is being displayed. And sometimes those that are displaying the bullying effort might not even realise that they are doing these. Okay, so we look to reframe the behaviour when challenged, and we get them to understand, are they intentionally meaning to do those actions? Are the young people understanding what their actions are impacting on our young people? And also what we talk to our young people about is persistent. A bullying incident does not have to be persistent to be considered bullying. We really focus on the impact and what on their well-being really impacts them.
Just kind of what we're speaking about and the kind of core message from the internet is that for children and young people, the internet is a place that they go to. It's not a thing. To us as adults and as teachers, quite often it's a resource that we use, but for them it's a place that they go to hang out and meet their friends. And like any place children and young people go, it's really important that we discuss the benefits and risks with them. So like we've been saying with everything else, it's just the same thing again, having a conversation with them about where they go online, just as if they were going out in town to a real physical place. Just keeping yourself up to speed with the different apps that they use and so on should try to help you to step in if cyberbullying does arise. And it is your responsibility to ensure that the technology is being used appropriately and correctly, and all of the things we've spoken about to try and help put filters and so on in place to help protect young people are really, really important. Where messages used to be written on the toilet walls, they are now being sent via mobile or email. So the things that we are seeing happening online, the behaviour itself is not any different to what we would have experienced growing up ourselves. It just has a far more far-reaching effect than it would have when we didn't have that technology. Taking their smartphones away or disconnecting the internet is not the answer. What is important is to try to connect to them and talk to them about where they go online and how safe it is. Setting boundaries, such as no smartphones or laptops in bedrooms after 10 p.m, for example, is perfectly reasonable. There's again a really useful video, She's Still Going Somewhere, which just kind of exemplifies what I've been speaking about there. And again, I'll share this link with you afterwards. Cyberbullying is often the same type of behaviour as other bullying that we've highlighted to you earlier on, but can take place in social networking sites, in chat rooms, through messaging apps, gaming, and instant messaging platform. And it's important that wherever it takes place, the impact is what we would always focus on, not how it takes place.
Another key part of our PSP lesson is we focus on response. Although our young people sometimes focus on what's actually happening in the bullying incident, what's equally important is how they respond, how the school respond, and what you can see on the screen is some advice that as you as parents and carers, how you can also respond. So what's really important is that you keep calm, because this supports good listening and is reassuring to young people. We also encourage parents and carers to listen, because that gives that sense of reassurance to our young people. And what's also a key part is to gently encourage young people to talk, finding out what has happened, who is involved, where and when, and you can also write that down if it helps.
This is another useful video, which again I will share with you, just about getting some advice if there are any concerns that you do have, getting some advice before you give any advice if you're unsure at all. And your child's head of house is available to offer any advice and support. I think it's really important to note that obviously if we don't know there's an issue, it's difficult for us to be able to help. So please do contact us as soon as possible if you do have any concerns, and we'll try and do our best to help you. This is another useful website, Parent Info. It's a partnership project between the National Crime Agency and CEOP and the parent organisation Parent Zone. And it's a website service for parents and carers, which aims to build the resilience of their children through articles, tips and advice. Articles are written by expert organisations in a range of different topics, all linked to the internet. And the website is divided up into those categories at the bottom there. So again, something that's really useful, and another website link that I will share with you.
Throughout your presentation, you've heard a lot about CEOP, so we thought it was important as well to focus on what actually happens through CEOP and what does it do. So as mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, CEOP is part of the National Crime Agency, which is a law enforcement agency. The website hosts an online reporting tool made specifically for children and young people in order for them to report concerns related to online sexual abuse and exploitation. Before accessing the reporting form, information is available on the types of reports CEOP receive and what happens following a report. CEOP reporting is designed specifically for children, so they always have somewhere to go if they're worried, and you'll see their icon on many social media platforms and as well as websites that young people use. The reporting form is designed to be as accessible as possible by children, but it's highly recommended that young children of primary school age seek the support of an adult they trust to help them fill out the report. It is not possible to report to NCA CEOP anonymously. CEOP advise any urgent reports where a child is in immediate danger should be reported to the local police force where the child is located. So it's to reassure young people, but also parents and carers, that there is an opportunity to get support immediately.
Remember, it's important that young people always know where to go if they come across something that worries them or makes them feel uncomfortable online. Let them know that there are organisations that they can talk to if they don't feel able to talk to you or to one of us in school. Childline is a confidential 24/7 counselling service run by the NSPCC for all children up to the age of 19, and there are trained counsellors available to speak to young people. Children have also a report remove service, which allows, Childline also have a report remove service, which allows children and young people under 18 to report a nude image or video of themselves that might have been shared online and have it removed from the internet. The Mix is another confidential helpline and support service for young people under the age of 25. The Mix specialises in topics such as sex and relationships, homelessness, drugs, mental health, and finding a job. And again, I will share the links to these websites with you later.
What you can see on the screen are the key recap of this presentation. What's really important, and hopefully comes across from this presentation, is that the key message is to chat little and often to young people. Talk to your child about their life online and take the opportunity to talk to them about how they stay safe online. We've shared a lot of resources and we'll share a lot of resources that will help generate conversation and help support carers to improve any knowledge and understanding of anything they're not sure of. It's also really important that you explain your worries to them. And if you have that communication, we find that that is the most proactive way of keeping young people safe online. What's also really important is to understand for young people how they report. So make sure that they know that they can come to you, how they identify trusted adults like yourself or people or staff in school. Let them know that you won't blame them or they won't be in trouble. And also direct your child to age-appropriate information such as CEOP.
Thank you very much for taking the time to join us today. I will email you all with a copy of the slides that we have used and a link to the websites and resources and videos that we have spoken about within our presentation. You can also keep up to date by following NCA CEOP on Twitter or Facebook. And as I explained, the links will be sent to you. Just at this point, we do have 10 minutes remaining if you would like to ask us any questions. If that is the case, please use the chat function at the top of the screen there, just to type in any questions that you might have. I'll just give you a wee moment. If not, you are free to leave us, and this recording will also be available on our school website should you need to check back at it. Thanks very much for joining us.